Hi everyone. Today's lecture is on quality code, and it's relatively long, and you will see a lot of things, but most of the things I hope that you would already know, and you wouldn't. So you will learn new things for sure, but I hope that the material is not too much. All right, so we'll be looking at software quality, code formatting, correct naming, documentation and comments, variables, expressions, and constants, control statements, so if, for, while, for each, and so on, high quality methods, please, high quality methods, high quality classes, exceptions and defensive programming, and code optimization last. So a lot of things to cover. So the idea of the lecture is to show you what are the rules. I haven't listed all of them because there are quite a lot, but yeah, so the idea is to show you the rules, and after that we'll have some examples, and you will think which example is correct or wrong, and so on. All right, let's start with software quality. What is, or what is it? So we have external quality, which is basically what you produce in the end, whether it's good, whether it works, whether it runs fast, whether the UI is good enough, easy to use, and is the code secure enough. So for some applications it may be crucial that the code is secure. When you make games, it's not that crucial. You're not gonna break financial markets or anything like this. So but yeah, it's good to have it nonetheless. Internal quality is what we will look in this lecture, and is the code really is the code easy to read and understand? Is it well structured? Is it easy to modify? And are there any repetitions within your code? So all of these things you should try to keep as you write code, because after that it'll be a lot easier for everyone else in the team, and for you as well to when you go back to a code that you've written a couple of months ago or a year ago, it'll be a lot more easy for you to see what you've written, how would you like to extend it, and so on. All right, high quality programming code. These are some features for it. So it's easy to read, understand, modify, and maintain. Behaves correctly. It's well tested, well architectured and designed. So it's crucial when you start doing something, when you start writing code, to actually spend time, and it could be a lot of time, on architecture and the design of your app or your game. Because if you don't have a good design, that means that later on there will be some problems that may require a lot of rewriting of the features that you have. So yeah, this is quite important. To have some structure on your app or game. All right, so well documented as well. So if you're putting out a library to someone else on the internet, it will be good, if you have some documentation with it. But the best way would be to make your code self-documented, which means that if you write it good enough, you won't need to comment that much on it. Formatted as well. In general, this thing is a strong cohesion and loose coupling at all levels, and good naming. So all of these comprise a high quality programming code. And in this lecture we'll be looking at how to do that, what are some good rules that you need to follow, and so on. Right, so code formatting. So here are the rules. I'll go through them quickly, and then we'll see some text file with some correct and some wrong formats. All right, so you should always put the brackets of a block on a single line under the corresponding parent block. All right, so this is something that we've said a lot. So all of the things here, I think I've mentioned at least once in lectures. I could have missed one or two maybe, but yeah, we'll just revisit all of them. In indent the block contents by a single tab, not a space, not double tab, just a single tab. Use empty lines for separation between methods. That is true also for loops, for statements, any blocks, any kind of logic which is separate from the rest of the code. Brackets in method declaration should be formatted without spaces. So this is method name, bracket, and then start typing straight in. This is wrong. So the next one where you have a space here, let me draw a bit. So where you have a space here, a space here, a space here in the end, this is all wrong. And also if you have a constructor and you have to inherit other, not inherit but reuse another constructor, then either put the column on a new line and write this and so on. But again, there are no spaces or commas or anything in there. The same thing applies to if conditions, for loops, while loops, for each loops, and so on. You don't have unnecessary spacings at the beginning and at the end of your parameters. Yes.
I think style cops wants a space after the points.
Style cop also wants constants to be written as properties, so don't always trust it. Where does it want a space?
After, before this, when
Before this.
I think you're supposed to.
All right. Normally, I always put it on a new line with the column. So yeah, I don't know. I may be wrong, but I'm not making these rules up as I go. I've taken them from somewhere. All right. Separate parameters. Lots of typos here. Separate parameters by comma followed by a space. So here, if I have a couple of parameters, then I'll have comma and then space, and then the next property, int s is a bad name, then comma, then space again, and so on. Right. Always use the curly brackets after if, for, while, for each, etc. Even if you have a single operation after that. So this is really important. If you put the curly brackets, then there is no way to confuse anyone. If you have a single statement, you exclude the curly brackets, and after that you have some other methods and so on. This is really confusing, and we'll see an example of that. Okay, break long lines after punctuation or store complicated checks in a variable. So this is something that we've seen. So if you have like a long link query, then I always put it on a new line each query. So if you have something like order by, then by, select, reverse, to list, and so on, all of these will be easier read if they're on new lines. Otherwise, it'll be a single very long line that no one wants to read, right? Okay. Is there anything else for code formatting? No. So let's get to the demo. Well, it's not a demo. It's just for you to see. So all right. So we are looking at this here. All right. So this code is really bad to read, right? You wouldn't understand anything. The point here is that you can write the code however you want, right? You can add spaces, not have new lines, put the brackets wherever you want, and it's still gonna work, right? So this is your job to make it not only to work, but to be good to read and maintain and so on. All right. So what are the mistakes here? Okay. So space here after the. Okay, here I have to put space, and here I don't have to do a space. Okay, after that.
If needs brackets.
Okay, so bracket here, else needs brackets as well. Here, what else? The indentation is not a tab, it's two spaces. Yeah, this is because I copy it from, but yeah, so normally I should make it like this, but let's say that this is a tab, because when it's copied from a text here, it's gonna convert it to spaces. So yeah, I wouldn't want to change it everywhere. New line between the methods. So here I have to put a new line. All right. Anything else? Sorry? Public in front of the main. I accept this as well, but it's not. It's yeah, it's good that you've noticed it. Never leave without an access modifier. We're not looking at names now, so just code formatting. So just spaces and stuff like that. But which one? This one. Line 16. The comment needs space. Thank you. I've written all of them this way, and I'm not gonna stop now. All right. Right. So because you're seeing a lot of mistakes that you shouldn't as we go, it's fine to tell them, but just try to focus on the formatting after that, on the names and so on. But it'll be good. Yeah. So just. I've just put that additionally. We don't use it anywhere, so normally I have to delete this, but I just wanted to check with the comma and space after that. So another num which is not used. Right. Sorry? Return? I think that's fine and easy to read, right? Because this is a method, so you have num times a result from a method, which is fine. Yeah. One by one. No space after if. I'm not sure about that. No space. Yeah. There isn't any space. So yeah, good. You wanted to say something as well? Aren't we over? No, it's good. We are going to look at every single piece of code in this lecture this way. Right, so, okay, so this is the point of separating logically connected blocks in separate them by a space. So this is a good example. So you initialize here, create income reports with a comment. After that, create expenses reports, and then empty line, and then return. So this is a good practice. So when you have logic which is the same in a block, you should separate it from the rest. And I guess that's all for this slide. There are longer ones, don't worry. Right, let's get back to the lecture. Is it fun at least? Yeah. All right, good. I've managed to do it a little bit fun. All right, correct naming. Always use English. And I really want to say, some of you, when they started here, they were writing, the Bulgarian words for counter and sum and so on. Just always use English, right? You wouldn't feel fine if you download some library on the internet and it's in Arabic, right? It's not going to be fun. So yeah, always do that. Avoid abbreviations. So this thing I can't even read as CRP, CNT, and I have different associations with CNT, but anyways. And the correct one is script count, right? You can read that, it's fine. Okay, use meaningful names. What the variable class method is used for. All right, so think about that. What am I gonna use this? Let's call it a structure. So variable class method struct enum and so on. It's valid for all of them. What is its purpose? And then you will be able to name it. If you cannot name it after asking yourself this question, then maybe your variable or class have multiple tasks. Right, which is not good. Every single variable and method should have a single defined task. Meaningful names also depend on the context in which they are used. So you can't just say straight away, well, this name is bad. You have to look at it in a context. In this case, we have generate in a class get all paths. In our case, with graph theory, was compute, which is now really quite clear. We have a class which is static. It's called get all paths, and you have a method which is called compute, right? So it's quite clear. But if you have something like generate in program, or anything that's undefined, it will be it's just not clear what you're trying to do. And something which almost everyone have done in the first course: don't use fake meaningful names. And this is topic 6, exercise 12. This doesn't give information to anyone, right? It's just from somewhere, from some book or from some homework or presentation or anywhere on the internet, you are solving exercise 12 in topic 6. The same is for loops, exercise 12, problem 7, and so on. So all of these are not really good. Always try to describe what problem are you solving, and that should be transferred to the name of your class, project, solution, and so on as well, using words. This problem 25.2.7a doesn't tell nothing to anyone. All right, correct naming. So we've talked about this, I think. So use Pascal case for methods, classes, structures, properties, enums, namespaces, and so on. Use camel case, which the first word is lowercase. Every next one starts with a capital letter. For variables, I think only for variables. This is not true for JavaScript, but in C#, this is used only for variables. Can you think of something else which uses Pascal case? Sorry? Camel case, yeah, fields. Fields is true. I'll add that here. Thanks. Well, fields are variables as well, right? So, but yeah, I'll add it anyways. So yeah, can you think of anything else that uses Pascal case? I think of at least. Oh no, it's there. But yeah. Anyone? Project name, okay. Project name. It's not necessary though. Interfaces. Thank you. This was the one that I was thinking of as well. If someone else. Usings. Yeah, so namespaces. But yeah, right. Name interfaces starting with I, and add able at the end where possible. So if you're doing something which is if you're doing an interface on functionality of your class, like I movable, I drawable, and so on, then you have to start with I and put able at the end. If you're doing an interface which is concerning a structure, then just take the name from the structure. There are some rules there. It has to be a noun or an adjective plus a noun. We are not going to be concerned with that. Just try to put meaningful names. Right. If you're using your own exceptions, add exception to the end of your class. So something like file not found exception, or bunny too fat exception, something like that. Just add exception at the end. The same applies for delegates and event handlers. Names can be as long as required, so don't worry to name your variables too long if it's descriptive enough. But that also means not to overdo it, right? I can name a variable the first bunny from an array of bunnies which I don't know, has, sorry?
Which has 10 bunnies.
Which has 10 bunnies which need to be fed somehow, and so on. So yeah, don't overdo it. Just try to keep it short. But if you cannot, and it has to be descriptive, then don't worry to put longer names than usual. I think the normal length is between 12 and 18 symbols or something like that. I read it somewhere that this is a good estimation of how long should your name be. But if you have to make it longer, then do it. If you have to make it, if you can make it shorter and it's descriptive enough, then do that as well. Okay. Do not abbreviate names if they are too long. Also, Boolean variable names should imply true or false. So something like, I don't know, is game running, is game over, any other? Sorry, is dead, okay, is alive in games. File not found. Sorry? Found, not found. Yeah. So if found, this is a good name. You can read that straight away. I didn't say this at the beginning, but the perfect case is for writing, very very good code, which is self-documented and clear and easy. If your mother can read it, then it's really good. So yeah. If you wanna check your games in monogame, just show it to your mothers or fathers. They can be developers, though. Women can be developers also.
What if they don't
Yeah.
know English?
What if they don't know English? Well, yeah, they have to know English, right? But if they know English and they can read your code, then you're pretty good at what you're doing. Are you here right? Always use positive Boolean variable names. Okay, e.g., if not found is not a good name, right? Because it's double negative, and you can just say if found, right? A lot easier. Sorry? If not true equals false. Good. Okay, use capital letters. I actually researched that, and for C#, the correct way, according to many websites, is capital letters, the way I've shown it to you, and not Pascal case. Okay, Pascal case is used for read-only fields as well. Never give misleading names. Okay, so this is the worst thing that you can do. Name your variable bunny and it's actually a zombie, right? It's really bad, and no one would know what's going on in your code. Don't use numbers in the names except when the number is part of the name, right? So I think I have examples. Yeah, I think I do. So can you tell me an example where the number is part of the name? Anyone? Sorry? Namespaces. Well, why would there be? Sorry, first? Yeah, but here you were saying first streak, second streak. That's with words, and I wanna have string. First string, second string. Well, yeah, but that's only for demo purposes, where I wanna test something and show something. Normally, it's connected to something from the real world, and even then, you shouldn't use numbers, right? I'm not writing so. I'm not writing one string, right? I'm writing first string, even then. So when would you think that a number should be a part of the name? I can tell you two. So one of them is for ports, something like COM3. I don't know many ports, but yeah, there. Also. What else? I was thinking of something. Yeah, Win32 version or something, right? So here, it's a part of the name, right? So you can use it. Can you now guess of something else which has numbers? System 32. Okay, fine. Yeah. Right. Sorry? References to what? Agent 007, yes, that's a part of the name as well. Right, okay, we are done. A lot of things to cover here in the demos, I think. Let's have a look. A bit more, not that much. Okay, so this is something from the lecture. Okay, so which one of these two is correct and which one is not, and why? The second one is correct because it is readable. The first one is not, right? And you exclude some of the characters, make it really hard to read. Even in your mind, it's kind of hard to read. Okay, good or bad? Factorial calculator. Why bad? It can be a name of a class or a method. It's just the name. It's just the name here. It's good. Second one. Okay, this one. Bad, bad naming because it's not descriptive. K is bad. Normally it's bad. Yeah, this is very situational. We talk just in general, right? Y okay less than I, then J plus I plus K equals Z, and so on. So normally a single. Okay, so I will tell you this. Normally the only reason or the only situation in which you are allowed to use a single character variable names are when they're inside of a loop, which is very clear what it's doing. So like the index of a loop, then it's fine. For I equals 0 to I less than something, this is acceptable. If it's just an index, if your for loop is just a couple of lines, it's fine. In many situations, it's not fine, and you can make it better, right? For example, if you want to iterate through years, right? I'm sure that all of you would write for I equals 0 to years dot length and something, but normally you should say years start from 0 to 2015 and so on, and use this iterator variable inside your for loop to make it better. The other exclusion is when actually in your problem you were given these constants that you have to use, right? So there was a similar problem. Solve the quadratic equation with parameters A, B, C, and that's it, right? So then it's fine, but I would put a comment to say that this is what I am doing, just as an explanation. So normally if you work with math and stuff like that, there are some shortcuts there. So for the graphs, the graph is called a cycle, which you have for homework, and I would call the class cycle, but it would be good to be able to instantiate it with cn, because that's a common way of writing this specific type of graph. All right. Oh yeah, and also if you're a mathematician, you would know, because this is a mathematical convention, right? Okay, here we have numbers, so they're not good. Junk depends again, but junk in general could be called better. So junk of like junk food, maybe, or something else that you mean. But junk is too general. This is bad. This is bad. Button 1 is bad because of the 1. Variable is too general. Math.py. It's good because it's from C#. Well, not everything from .NET is good in terms of what they're giving us, guidelines. Can you tell me one thing? I've mentioned it a couple of times, which they're using, and I've told you to not use it. Sorry. Dynamic. Okay, no, they've written that, but I mean in terms of code and in terms of structuring the code. Dynamic is very arguable whether it's bad or not, because sometimes you just need to use it and there is no other way, especially if you're doing some generic calculation with operators and stuff like that, then it's really hard. But yeah, can you tell me of something? It has to do with classes and structs. When we use classes, when we use structs. Sorry? Don't use math. Yeah, that was no, it's not that. Something else. Something more general. What is datetime? The class datetime. It's not a class, it's a structure, and it should be a class because why? Why do we use structures? I gave you a specific guideline for why, just to store values, right? And what does datetime have? It has a lot of methods, so it should be a class, right? What's the other difference? So what are the other two differences between a struct and a class? So like preparation for the test, just to test your knowledge. So class is a reference type and the struct is not. And one more. No inheritance. Good. Someone is paying attention. All right. This one is fine. This is fine as well. Create a report item. It's good. So we have temp, tmp, temp var, something, some value. These are two generic, and this one is wrong also because of the underscore. Normally, there is always a better way to name a variable which you would normally name temp, but we'll have that example a bit later. All right, so one of these two, which one is better? The first one, because is Pascal case. The second one is camel case. All right. Okay, naming classes and structs, good or bad. Okay, so student. No, is it good? So this is naming specifically for classes and structures and name classes and structs. Okay. No, it should be student, not students. If you want to make students, there'll be a list of students, right? So we have this later on. We will go through it as well, but should always be singular, except for when you're making a class with constants or utilities or some helper classes. But if you're describing a structure from the real world, then it should be single. Okay, file system. Sorry? No, it's not. You have a file system in your computer, so it's fine. If you wanna describe the file system in your computer, this is what you would use, right? Binary tree node. Good. Move. Move sounds like a method. If it was an interface, how would you call it? IMovable. Okay. Find users. Same. Fast. Normally try to put nouns or adjective plus a noun. Like bad zombie is fine. Zombie is fine, but just bad. It's not good. Fast is not good. Extremely fast is also not good. Okay, constants. I would say this is arguable. Maybe describe the type of constant. Say like gaming constants or screen constants or something like that. This I think is too generic. If we accept that it's allowed to be in a plural, so constants, like where you would put a lot of constant, I would put something a bit more descriptive. Math utils. Why? Yeah, but this is very recognized abbreviation. Yeah, I know it's arguable and so on. Except that it's good. Okay, checkbox. Good. Calendar. Good. Optimize. Bad because it's a name of a method. It's like an action that you want to make on something. So this is all right. Check. This is tricky. Why? Because it's an object. What kind of object? Payment object. Yeah. So yeah. So here check can be a verb or it can be a noun. And if it's a noun, if it's fine, right? If it's a variable, then depends on the context, right? So check can mean different things, but depending on your context. So if you're writing a banking software, then it's pretty clear what the check is, right? Okay, so fast find in database. It's bad because it sounds like a method.
These are names of classes and structs. These can't be names of methods.
This can't be names of methods. Yes.
So many of those for which we said are good, they are not
Okay, which ones have you said are good, but they're in fact bad because they're.
For example.
Yeah, we said that. We said move is bad because it's a name of an action. It's like a verb, right? But if it was an interface, I asked, and you said it would be I'm movable, right? I think I said this, right? Yeah. Yeah. So move is bad for for an interface, but if you want to change it to I movable, it's fine. Otherwise, it's a name that I would put on a method. The same for
But we're talking
optimize.
about classes and structs, not about methods here. We have methods down.
Just a second. All right, interfaces. I data reader. Bad. Why? Okay, I said it doesn't always have to be able. It could extend the name of a of an abstract class. So say that I have animal as an abstract class, and I can say I animal. So it's either coming from the name of a class, which is normally a noun or an adjective plus a noun, and you have to put an I at the top. Or if you wanna describe some actions, then if it has to be I movable. Right, so I animal is fine, I drawable is fine, and here we'll see some which are not that good. Okay, so I data reader again. It's good. I list, we have that. It's good. I HTTP module. Depends. So the question is, shouldn't HTTP be in capitals? Well, I wouldn't say always, right? We see it in the links as lowercase only, and yeah, it's an abbreviation normally, but here it will be very hard to read because you will get six characters which are capital, and they actually show you different words. All right, I command executor. This is fine, yeah. HTTP module, right? You can have, so think about this. Can I have a class which has a name HTTP module? Yes, yeah. Yeah, so you can have a non-interface as well. This one is the same, it's fine. Okay, list. No, it doesn't have an I. Here the I is not capital. I fast. No, so you cannot have a class which is fast, and I don't think you can even convert this to an interface with the able at the end, right? I fastable, right? It doesn't work. Yeah, but what does it mean? What will you put in this interface? So it's not just about the rules, but when you think about them, there is logic. So let's say that I have an interface I fast, right? It's an I at the front. Everything is fine. What would you put in it? Right? Okay, you would put speed, but that doesn't give you anything, right? Doesn't give you if it's fast speed or slow speed. It just does nothing, right? So this is the idea. These rules are connected. So I memory optimize. Optimizable is fine. I memory is fine, but when you have a verb, it's not that good, right? Memory optimize. Who knows? Optimizer is bad. No I. Fast find in database. So many things wrong here. We don't have the I. Again, we have the fast find, which is a verb, and yeah, it's just not something that you would put in the name of a class. Okay, naming enums. The first one, okay. The second one is too weird. Just use Pascal case. Method naming. So the first one. Bad. We have a 1, nothing descriptive. So yeah, find student. Good. Do something. Bad. Handle stuff. Load report. Actually, I'm not saying them in the mic, and yeah. No, so do something is bad. Handle stuff is bad. Load report is good. Sinus, bad. Like, what's that? Yeah, it's a method name. What the hell? Okay, sample method, bad. Dirty hack, bad. Okay, student, bad, because we are looking for names for methods, and this is more like a class or a structure or something else, meaning it doesn't have any action attached to it. Generator, bad. I would put generate here. Show. This really depends on the context. So if I'm in some, I don't know, show could be good depending on the class which it's used in, but normally I would put something more descriptive. Okay, load settings file. It's fine. Create monthly and annual incomes report. It's good. This is an example where there is no way to actually make this smaller, right?
Split into two methods.
Shouldn't it be split?
Monthly reports, create annual report.
Oh yes, you are very correct. Create monthly, create annually, and then combine them. Yeah, you are right. So normally this method does two things, and you should exclude that. So here you can actually split it into two. Create monthly report. Create annual. So create monthly incomes, or just income report, and here income report, and I can use this method inside the one below to reuse code, right? But yeah, so this was an example of a really long name which normally you couldn't make shorter. Create month inc report, bad, because of this inc here. Okay, variable naming. Okay, so we have first name, good. Report, good. Config, I think it's fine. Config, it's it's common to see files named like this, and if you want to do something, I don't know, I think it's fine, this one. I'm not sure. Depends. Okay, full, bar, P1, P2 is bad. Populate, bad. It sounds like a method. Okay. Last name, is this bad or good? Can it not be a property name? Properties are always with capital letter. And we were talking about read-only fields, which are Pascal case, right? So properties like dot length, dot count, dot capacity, and so on, they're always with capital letter, although they're variables as well, right? So this is fine as well. Okay, so we have first name here. So the underscore, I think I've mentioned it a couple of times. Don't put it in C#. This one as well, it's temp, and a couple of underscores there too, so bad as well. Create user SQL comment, bad as well. Sounds like a method because it's an action.
Maybe an SQL string actually, so it's
It can be an SQL string. Okay, I accept your comment. Right? Comment. SQL comment. Yes, but it's create.
Yes.
Can you create it with a variable?
An SQL string for creating the user.
An SQL string for creating the user. Okay, can you not name it user string SQL comment and then have a method create, which actually creates it, right? So the name itself doesn't create it, I think.
area of room, maybe for instance, insert into users, blah blah blah.
Right, so some more abled web developers in the room said that this is fine, and naming it create this way can be used as a variable with lowercase, which will actually do what it says. I didn't know that. I don't write web, so sorry for the confusion. All right, after that, accounts. It's fine. Customers, payments, priority queue. Who thinks it's bad? Why?
Because the queue.
Because of the queue. Why? What's wrong with the queue in the end?
We have queue of payment priority. It's okay.
This is not the reason. No, I mean queue. This is queue as in the like structure in .NET. Yeah. Why? Why is it bad? So this queue is like a list, but you know, a structured queue that we've used. Sorry, it's a class queue which we've used to write our snake. It's not a queue at the shop. So why is it bad then? We have that priority queue.
Maybe of class priority queue and just don't type it.
No need to type it. I sort of accept the answer. Right, so no one who is reading your code would care or should know how are you implementing, in this case, your payments. Right? I can use list, I can use hash tables, I can use queues, stacks, whatever I want, but this should not be made public because no one cares and they shouldn't know, right? So the next one is the same. So players array. Array is a technical term which developers use, and if someone say someone has a football team and they have to access the number of players or something, they will know players array dot length or something like that. So array here is bad. Account holder, it's fine. Payment plan, VIP player, it's fine. Customer hash table is bad because you know hash table, you know, who cares? Yeah. Should VIP be capitals? Well, this is the same problem as with the HTTP, where I said if you put all of these capitals, then you know it's gonna be VIPP layer. That's how you would normally. Okay, I'll change it. Is this? Sorry, is this easy to read without an underscore or something? I would leave it as is. So VIP player. Booleans, and we don't have that many more. Okay, so booleans has pending payment. Good. Customer found. Okay, so think if I can put this in an if statement and it would make sense in my head, or if your mom can read it, if she knows English, then is it fine or not? Okay, valid address. I think it would be better if you put is, because if valid address, yeah, it's readable, it's fine, I think. Not found. Not found. It depends. Depends. Yeah, but if you wanna write if not found, then it's not good. But yes, sometimes so like the example that we used with game over, right? We could have said bool game running, right? So while game is running or something similar, it would be fine. But game over, you know, is so common these days, and that's why we use that. So game over. So sometimes it's acceptable, I think. Find customer by ID. Bad. You know, this is an operation. So yeah. Found. No, find. Don't put it in past tense. Oh yeah, found would be fine. Yeah, yeah. Player, bad. Program stop, bad. Okay, if program stop, you know, it sounds weird. Okay, if run, that's bad as well. If list, that's bad as well. If positive balance, well, that kind of reads, but I would put it if is balance positive or something similar. Is prime is fine. All right, so this is the temp that I've mentioned. So So here, the correct thing to do is always to try and replace temp with something else. Okay, as soon as I see temp, I just get confused every time, every single time when I see temp, especially like temp 1, temp 2, and they're used only in a couple of lines. I really get confused. So old value equals a of I equals a of j, and so on. This is a lot better to read, and it's a lot more understandable. So this is bad. Normally don't use temp. If you want to use temp, I would put here temp number or temporary number or something, just not temp, right? I've seen Boolean temp, I've seen method temp, I've seen constant temp, I've seen everything with the name temp, right? So just try to avoid using that. All right, so names of classes, names of classes and properties as well. So class linked list is fine. Public int flag, so this should be capital, right? Because it's a property. Class student, okay, we have public string last name. Last name should be capital. Class student private int I. It's private. It's a field, so Pascal case is fine, but no, this is private down here. Private int I, so it's private. It's a field, so camel case. But another problem which I've heard someone in the audience say, bad naming. What is the student's I? Yeah, if it was IQ, it would be fine, but it's not IQ, it's just I. You know, what the hell is that?
In this case, if we need to have a variable IQ, should we write it with all capital letters?
Okay, if we have a variable which is IQ, is it private or public? Private. If it's private, I would put it IQ. If it's public, I would put it either IQ or IQ. This way. Right? The idea is, even if you have an abbreviation, which you normally write in capitals, this is not a problem for your Pascal or camel case, right? Because if I think it's best seen with the HTTP thing. So yeah, this is an abbreviation. So it's the same thing, right? Just with 2 characters. It's the same thing.
Same thing, because we have HTTP model, we have 2 words. Here you just have.
All right, let's say that I have private int IQ, so let's make it public. I like how you argue. Okay, so what happens if I have public const int and I want that to be IQ as well in the same class? How would I name it? If this thing was IQ, the way you said it, how would I call the IQ const? Sorry? All right, when I say somewhere after a couple of lines of code, when I say IQ, what do I mean? No, nobody knows. So this is why, even if it's an abbreviation, make it lowercase if it's a camel case and it's first. Make it Pascal case and so on. So IQ here, I believe, is the best solution. So yeah, it's good to ask questions like this because I can think and I can tell you why it's done so. Okay, constant. About the curly brackets, what? Yeah, I've copied it from somewhere. So yeah, here as well. I think it's fine now. Constants. The first one, max what? Yeah. Second one, buff 256. What about buff 256 equals 1021? So this is like public const int 0 with characters equals 0 the number, right? It doesn't make sense. Yeah. So greater. Is this fine? I don't know. Someone who is fluent in HTML.
The greater sign.
This is the greater sign. Oh yeah, fine. Yeah, I got that as well. Okay, font size 16.
But the idea of greater is to be more descriptive.
Greater. Yeah.
Greater
So
is not fine,
yeah, greater is not fine. You should put it some. You should put something more descriptive. So here, as I haven't been doing HTML soon, I couldn't guess it straight away. But yeah, so this is the HTML greater sign, and yeah, you should make it more descriptive. Font size 16 is bad because there is 16 EM, 16 just as is, 16 pixels. What else can it be? Points, percents. What else? So yeah, a lot of things. So you should be more specific there. Page size, page equals page size dot A4. Page size or default page size. I would call it default page size this way. All right, private const in font size in points. This in points I really don't like. 16 is fine. Public static read only page size default page size equals this. So yeah, this is what I put above, and this is a static read only field. So you know, has to be Pascal case, so it's fine. Special cases, so these are the ports that I said. So RS232 port, COM3 port, display add to protein. I don't even know what that is, but I assume that this is wrong, right? Don't put any weird characters in your names. All right, I suggest we have a break. All right, let's keep going. Okay, documentation and comments. Okay, documentation can be external, meaning at a higher level compared to the code, detailed with problem definition, requirements, architecture, design, project plans, test plans, sound, gameplay modes, graphics, etc. So this is the most detailed, thing that you could imagine that describes pretty much any aspect of your app or game. For games, I don't know if I've shown this, but I'll show in one of the later courses how to write a GDD, how does it look like, and so on. So the game design document is very, very detailed. Okay, and I'll give you good examples and bad ones when the time comes. But it's something external that helps developers, designers, and so on to know the project, and if there is any concern about any detail, they would be able to find it in this external documentation. It can be also internal, which means at a lower level explains a class, method, or a piece of code. Okay, do not comment every single line in your code. Okay, most lines of code, if they're written well, are obvious and do not need any further explanation. So if you're writing well, then you don't need to explain everyone. So okay, list event students equals new list event with the comment we are creating a list of students, right? It doesn't make any sense. Okay, effective comments do not repeat the code. So this is what what I said just before as well. If you're writing quality code, it will not need to be commented. So this is called self-documenting of a code, and this is what I said. So you will need comments if if your mother doesn't understand your code, even if you put some comments on it, it will not help that much. Okay, to write self-documenting code, you should make it explainable, self-explainable, easy to read and write, of course. Do not explain bad code, rewrite it. So if there is a so as soon as you have bad code and you have the need to comment it, to explain what you're doing and so on, then better find a way to rewrite it in a better manner. Okay. Focus comments on why rather than how. So this is related to the one before. If you have to explain someone why the code below works, then it's not a good comment, and the code you've written is not good as well. So more on why. Say if I have grouped a couple of methods which help me to save a file, I can put a comment which is going to be more like a block. This portion of the code deals with saving files, and then you have a couple of methods below which do exactly that. Comment on workarounds, hacks, bugs to do. So it's hard to avoid it every time. I mean, hacks and workarounds happen, and there are some weird ways to fix them. So as soon as you have one of those, like a hack or something extraordinary that you do with your code, then you have to comment it. Also, because after a month you wouldn't remember what this hack was and why did your solution work and so on. Write summaries in C#. Sorry, question?
Yeah, like the quick magic number.
Like the magic number, yeah. Right. Okay. This is a checklist, meaning is your code good enough? So you should always ask yourself these questions to make sure that you have good documented code. Does the interface present a consistent abstraction? So once you start going up the hierarchy, you should think whether what you're writing is really good, consistent, whether it summarizes or abstracts what you want to say and use in your interface. Does the interface make it obvious how you should use the class as well? So if I have an interface which is immovable, well, clearly I have to have a method which is move, right? This is good and clear. Is the class well named? Does the name describe the purpose? You should ask yourself that. If you cannot answer, then you should rename it, or your class is doing a lot of things and you cannot find a suitable name. Do you reuse code in your class hierarchy? So is there any point of copy pasting in constructors? Is there any reason for copy pasting properties from your more abstract classes to the child ones? Does each routine's name describe exactly what the method does? So correct naming of methods. One, well-defined task, and that's what your method should do. Does each method? I've said that. Are type names descriptive enough? Okay, so if I have just say we have a school with students, and I have a list which is just called students, but I actually wanted to say students from I don't know, from 5th grade or something, right? So always try to think whether your names are good enough and descriptive enough. Are variables used only for a single purpose related to their name? Okay, if you have to store multiple information in a single variable, then maybe you should rethink how to split it or something. So if you have an array of students, that is fine, because that's what it does. It's just a collection of students. But if you want to save a string and then a boolean in a variable, then maybe use a struct, maybe use a class or something, but do not put them in a single variable. Does naming conventions distinguish among types? So this is why I teach you of Pascal case, camel case, writing with capital letters and so on, so that once you see a variable, or as soon as you see some name, that it will be easier for you to see what it is. Is it a method? Is it a class? Is it an interface? Is it a variable with a camel case? Or is it a constant, which is very, very easy to see? Right. Let's do some tests now, whether you were listening or not. And I hope that this one is not empty. All right. So this whole thing up to here is a piece of code. Up to so this whole thing. Let me zoom out just a little bit so that we can see the whole thing. Yeah. So this is an example of what, which is bad. Okay, yeah, of course, all of them are, I assure you. But what is bad about the comments here? They're not necessarily pretty much explain every single line of code. Create new list of integers. Well, thank you. That was kind of obvious. Perform a loop from start to end. Okay, so these kind of comments you don't need. So all of this, which just checks if a number is prime, can be rewritten this way, and it's a lot clearer. There's something wrong with the indentation, but I think it's fixed now. So yeah, this code versus this code, right? And I'm sure that many of you think, well, this is obvious, I'm writing this way, but I can assure you that from your homeworks from the first part, many of you were either overdoing things or there were a lot of mistakes there. So I want to go through all of them now, so that we don't see it in your future projects. Bad programming style. This thing. So if you cannot read the code here, this thing needs to be commented somehow, right? I need to say, well, this J does that, this while loop does something else. I have to put a comment here, right? So while loop to check, I don't know, check something, right? So if you have the need to comment on something, then it's probably not written well and you should rewrite it. Especially that kind of while loops I've seen so many times inside, in the first homework. It's unbelievable. And I should, does the Alt work? Alt Shift works. Yeah. Okay, good programming style. So from 2 up to num divided by 2 factor plus plus. Well, this is clear. I'm sure most of you here would put an I here, and in this case it's not just an index. We're actually going through the factors of to search for a prime factorization, I think. Yeah. Okay, so factorable number is this. We have while. It's easy to read. Is prime of factorable number equals false, and so on. It's easy to read. Misleading comments. This is something that you definitely should not do. I mean, this is even worse than putting a bad comment, because you pretty much explain something which is not in your code. So here, write out the sums 1 to n for all n from 1 to num. It's a weird comment, anyways. And this thing, actually, what it does is calculate. Can you tell me from the code? It's not badly written. Calculates Fibonacci numbers. This one, yeah. I'm sure that this is what you wanted to say. Right. Obvious comments. Set product to base. Kinda clear, yeah. Loop from 2 to num. Okay. Multiply base by product. Okay. And so on. You get the idea. Bad code needs to be rewritten, is what we want to say. So if you can't read it, or if your mom can't read it, if she knows English, of course, then it's probably bad, and you should rewrite it. Okay, this one is bad as a comment. It looks really good. Now everyone will be very happy to see it, but it's really hard to maintain. Right? What happens if I want to add something here? Right? I would have to add. What we have, radius, distance. Okay, so what if I have like area, right? I have to put these spaces, area, I have to put some dots here and so on. This is really hard to maintain as a comment. And if it's written well enough, it should be relatively clear what you need to do. Okay, use summary in C#. Have I shown you this or no? Let's open up real quick a Visual Studio, and I'll show you how to write summary. So summary is when we want to see a method, a property, or anything from, say, a list. It it gives you a short description of what the method does and what is the variable and so on, what is the property. And this is done with 3 slashes, and it automatically creates it for you. So let's have a look. So make a console application which is quality code single test. Okay, I won't put this online, just so that you know it's just a very, very quick demo. All right, so let's have what do we want to have? Let's make a class. Class bunny. Of course, it's gonna be a bunny. So bunny. All right. So let me remove all of that. Remove that. Make this public. And now, as soon as I type in the 3 marks, it says summary. This class represents a bunny which fights zombies. Okay, the bunny has health. Here I can do the same thing. Bunny health and so on. And all of this, as soon as I create a bunny, I hope that it comes up because I haven't done this in a while. So if I want to make bunny, my bunny equals new bunny. Okay, and if I want to access now my bunny dot health, bunny health. So let me zoom in there. Right, you can put a comment so that it's clear, especially if you have a method. Okay, so let's say public void kill zombie string zombie. I don't want to make a different class, so string zombie and I don't know, int damage, whatever. Okay, so now if I put the summary here, I can really explain what each parameter is, how do I use it, do I want to instantiate it, or what does this method do in a bit more detail rather than just the name. So in this case it's clear. It will be repetition to just write kills the zombie, right? It's sort of clear, but I'm sure that you can put something in here that's a bit more explanatory, especially with to be honest, with the graph library that we did in the last lectures. It will be very, very good to document what is going on there, right? Because not everyone will be used to creating vertices and edges directed and so on. So there needs to be a bit more explanation there if someone was to download the library and use it. All right, let me remove this. Where were we? We were here. So yeah, summary. Any questions? So now if I call it in my bunny dot kill zombie, open up the bracket, and here you get the explanation. If I added some explanation about the zombie and the damage, it would be here as well. And this is, if you think about it, this is what you use many times. So if I do, I have to give a string. So let me just delete that. So list of int, I don't know, collection of integers. New list of int. Dot. All right, so can you tell me what this method does and what it wants and so on? It exists, this one here. No, right? You wouldn't know. And inside here, we have a very good explanation. Exists. Okay, returns a bool. Good. Exists, it needs predicate, that's fine. This is what we are gonna get if we just type in a constructor ourselves, but this is the explanation, and it's actually really good. And if you had to search some, if you had the need to search some functionality, I'm sure that you've used the documentation which is available, or the summary which is available in .NET to clarify things for you. All right, let's get back. So I'll close this, and I'm not going to save it. I'm sure that you've understood. So it's good to have it if you have the time. Right, so let's... Why are you still here? All right, let's get back to this. Variables, expressions, and constants. Okay, so here the rules are a bit more, but I'm sure that you know most of them. So initialize all variables right before their first usage. Okay, so here is missing the word right, which is kind of important. The other is kind of obvious, right? So yeah, right before means that you don't want to create a bunny and then 1,000 lines below use it for something, right? You would wanna initialize it right before you want to do something with it. Otherwise, it's really complicated, because let's say that you put all of the variables in one place where you are gonna use them, right? Then you start using some variables down below in the code, maybe 100 lines below, and it will be really complicated to remember, well, how did I initialize this variable? Was it with a 0? Was it with some value? What does it do at all? Okay, pay special attention to counters, sums, products, etc. Okay, so sums need to be initialized with what value? If I want to calculate some, so 0. Counters with 0, products with 1. Check whether the data is in the correct format for your specific purpose. Okay, so if you have to put sum equals 5, that would be fine. If say that you're, I don't know, there may be some case, but make sure it's related to your current problem. Okay, don't define unused variables. Okay, I see int a semicolon. What is this variable? What does it do? Why do I need to initialize it here without a value? It's not clear at all. And in C# specifically, it could generate some errors as well. Okay, always assign the result of a method in some variable before returning it. And we'll see an example of that later on. Return to, sorry? Return true and false. Well, no, you don't need to say that, right? It's just that. How would you call the result? Okay. Okay, always assign the result of a method before returning it, and you said true or false. Well, it's not really a result there, is it? It's just how is that called in English? It's just one of the two values in your case, which are true or false. So you don't have a result. By a result, I mean something like something that we did last time, which was actually bad in terms of quality code. All sorted graphs dot order by, then we did to array, to list, whatever. So we did that instead of saving it into another variable before that. So this is like a calculation. It could be a link query. It could be some, just I don't know, salary times months. I don't know, something. Just an expression or link query. All right. Think about. Oh my God. Think about the visibility of your variables: public, protected, internal, private. Always try to maximally reduce visibility. I've said that. Try to keep your code as encapsulated as possible. Okay. Always initialize variables right before they are used. I've mentioned that. Say that you need something which is specific for your loop, like a sum, like something else. Just try to always put it right above the code that you're gonna use it in. Do not declare variables on the same line. It's really confusing. It's hard to read. Many of you are used to this from the first course. Just don't do it. Variables should have a single purpose. I think we've mentioned that many times. If you cannot choose a god name, right? If you cannot choose a good name for your variable, think of 9. So if you cannot do this, then probably your variable doesn't have a single purpose. Avoid complex expressions. Separate indexes and Boolean checks in variables. I've mentioned this many times. Do not use magic numbers. Use constants. All right, let's check what you've remembered. This one is not too long. What is this code going to do? Is the first question. I think it's gonna cause an exception. I think, or a compile time error. Yeah, it's a compile time error. So even C# tells you, please do not do this. It's wrong. Okay, what is wrong here? It's not in a variable. So what is the specific problem here? This is correct. I should put a variable, but if someone else reads my code, they would have to understand what is my calculation here, and it could be a long link query with lambdas and so on. Here would be good to just say, I don't know, maybe long salary equals the expression here, and just put salary here, because then it's a lot clearer what we want to do. You just give name to your calculation. Which of the two is better? Is it this one or this one? And I urge you to think before you answer. Just read the code, try to understand it, and think of which one is better. The second one, why? It's clearer which comes from where, because right here I only see some array brackets inside another ones, and so on. So this is a matrix. This is the x value, this is the y value, but just see how long they are, Here you just separate it into different variables, and the final line, which is the calculation, it's a lot easier to read. And if there is something wrong in this check or this calculation, it will be a lot easier to maintain. You would see straight away in which variable the wrong information is stored, right? So say here I made some error and I did this. Why? Okay, as soon as I debug, I'll have this variable and I can have a look at it. Whereas here, I just do the calculation and I see that it's wrong, but I have no idea where the error comes from. So let me change this back. And actually, there was a similar problem with your matrix thing, right? Where you calculated some with your with the game. Yeah. So there was something similar, which was really hard to spot. Now you know how you can do it better to read it. Yeah, sure. Okay, what is wrong with this one? A magic number, which is clearly just pi. And if you don't want to store it in a separate variable, I would just put math.pi this way. Okay. Why is this with capitals? Because it's a constant, right? You won't name it pi like this. All right, that was it about variables and expressions. Pretty basic stuff. A couple of things that they don't have an example here, but the same thing as with this line holds for Boolean checks, right? I can say if we are outside of the array, if we are outside of the play field, which could be a really long and tedious check, right? With, I don't know, 7, 8 checks, maybe something like that, and you would always have to compare coordinates, x's and y's and so on. Try to separate it as much as possible into different Boolean variables, like if we are I don't know, what would be a good name.
within the first quadrant.
Yes, if we're within the first quadrant, then do this, which would normally take, well, not that big of a check, but yeah, you get the idea. Another thing that I want to say, if a line is too long, I don't know if this is anywhere else in the presentation. If a line is too long, you have to separate it always after an operator. So if you have a multiplication here, press enter, then finish it. Multiplication here, then finish it, and so on the next line. I don't think I did I? Okay, I did. Fine. You have a question on the here.
Yes, why line 13 is not on line 12?
Why line 13 is not here?
Why it's not above? No, why it's not line 12 up right after the equal sign?
On one line. On a single line.
Why it's not up there, I guess?
Oh, this one.
Yes.
Because this is easier to read still. Depends. Okay. I wouldn't put it because it's too long, and if I only have a single line down below, this first line looks horrible to read. Okay. So this is why you try to split it as much as possible. And one thing I probably did not say as well, always when you are the word when you have a long expression and you have to put it on a new line or maybe a couple of lines, always indent with a single tab as well here. Okay, any other questions here? Nope. Okay, a little bit more, I guess. Control statements. So these are like if, else, while, switch, case, for each. What else do we have? I'm sure there's something that I'm missing. While, do while, and so on. All right. So always use the brackets, even if the body is on a single line. I think I've mentioned this many times. Don't do it. Okay. Always put the normal or expected conditions first. Okay, don't start with the one that is really unlikely to happen. So if file.check for errors is true, then do the try and catch and so on, whatever you want. Always try to assume when you do the if checks the most normal or expected one first. Okay, avoid comparing to true or false, e.g. has errors, which is a method or a boolean, it doesn't matter, equals true, right? It's kind of clear if you leave it as is. Always consider the else case. Okay, so you write an if, it works, can something else happen, is the question that you should ask. Okay, avoid double negation, so not has no errors. Do not copy paste code in if else statement. So if you copy paste some operation in an if else statement, then you could extract it and put it just after the blocks, and you can just put it once there. You see an example of what I'm talking about. Do not use complicated if conditions. Simplify in variables or methods. Use brackets to improve readability and maintainability of complicated conditions. So if you have some long conditions, if you don't put the brackets, it will not be very clear how is this gonna evaluate in the end. Avoid deep nesting of statements. More than 3 is too deep, and you're probably doing something wrong. Okay, use for loops to repeat some block of code a certain number of times. Use for each loop to process each element of a collection, right? So these are in many cases interchangeable, but the idea of you using for to iterate through the elements which are like students and take some information doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense to use a for loop for that. Use while or do while when you do not know how many times a block should be repeated. So this is the same. Why would it make sense if I have a while loop which just imitates a for loop? Say while I is less than students dot length, and then increment I by 1 every time. It doesn't make sense. Just use a for loop. Keep loops simple, avoid empty loops, and sometimes you may need to have empty loops. So for those of you who remember the last lecture of threads, when we were splitting the work of the graph theory problem through the course of the processor, there we had a thread, and we wanted it to finish before we execute anything else. So this was a while loop, but it's like a hack, I would say. The other thing that we used was the hack for the keyboard inputs, if you remember. So yes, sometimes you need to, but if you can, just avoid it. Don't change the value of a for loop to stop the loop. Use while instead. So again, if you have an I which iterates from 0 to 10, and then in some case you want to actually say that it's 10, this would stop your loop, right? Don't do that. Just think of break, think of something else, but don't change the value inside the loop. The iterator value or the index value inside the loop. Avoid break or continue if you can. Use while plus conditions instead. Okay, so not always, but in most cases you can avoid the break and continue statements. Do not ever use go to. I think I've mentioned this. I've never used it, and neither should you. It can be used in C#, but it was something weird as a syntax, something weird. All right, let's see this thing. All right, so what is wrong with the first one? Okay, we don't have brackets. What is gonna happen? Okay, so only the do something method is gonna be called in this if statement. But the way we've written it with the tab here and here, it seems to the user and whoever reads the code that we're actually gonna do two things in the if, and it actually doesn't work this way. I think in Python you don't need curly brackets, and this is gonna work there. But in C# you should always put brackets. So this is the thing as well. If you only have one statement, put it in brackets as well. Okay, expected condition first. This is what I said. So response code equals code not found. So this is something that you would expect to happen quite rarely, right? It's not something that should be on top. This is hard to read because I want to check the core of the logic first if I'm looking through your code, versus this. So a response code equals code okay, and here we have some logic and so on, and after that we just handle the worst case scenario. All right, other examples. If has errors equals true. This is bad because equals true. You can just leave it as is. Okay, versus if has errors. Okay, if not has no errors. You would be amazed at how often this happens, actually. So something like game over, it does happen. Okay, so just double negation. Just change to if has errors. Do something. Okay. How about this? Okay, we have if condition. Get some person. P send mail. P send the SMS, and we have the same thing inside here with another person. Okay, so here we repeat code in these two, and I can just take it out instead of copy pasting, and it will be executed anyways. Okay, how would you fix this? This is a general question, not how would you fix it right now with code.
Extract it in different
extracted in different booleans. Okay, so here xy positive maybe here not outside of the array or whatever. If we are not on the borders, would be this whole thing that I've selected, and this thing is not visited. And when you write out the if statement, it will be very clear if you name the booleans properly. Okay, so we check not to be outside of the screen. We check if we're not on the border, and we check if we're not visited or something. It'll be very easy to read. Positive expressions are easier to read. If is valid. This is something that your mother would be able to read and she would understand. So it's always better. If this was like this, she wouldn't know what is going on there. So yeah. Okay. Versus this, I just showed it. What is wrong here?
The statement isn't clear. You need brackets.
We need brackets here. Okay, or here. What's wrong here? Not really. Sorry? Okay, I accept this, but another problem. So let's say that we are very, I don't know, absolutely sure that we need to have a while loop, and we're absolutely sure that we need it to work this way, index plus equals 2. There is another problem here. It's not on the slides. It's initialized here.
Index is always less than 10.
Sorry, index is always.
Less than 10.
No, we add 2 at each step. So. All right. Okay. I'll fix them one by one. Okay. So. Const int magical 10.
And the index increase.
We should put it at the end. So this is a convention. So here we have some code. Here we have some code. Normally, the condition should be sorry, the incrementing value that our while depends on should be put last, because what happens if here I have 100 lines of code and here I have 100 more, and this is hidden somewhere, and I want to change it or do something with it, then it's not clear. So this thing should be here at the bottom. All right. Do you want to have a short break? So we only have. I'll explain what more is there. So this one is not too long and complicated. After that, we just have some explanations, probably about 40 minutes more. Do you need a break? Now? 40 minutes. Yeah, from now on. Okay, break. All right. Let's keep going. So. I think the last of the demos where we have and I ask questions. Okay, so high quality methods. Using methods reduces complexity, improves readability, and helps avoiding repetition. So if you want to repeat a part of your code, you can do it with methods. Methods hide implementation detail and increase the level of abstraction. So something like a complicated Boolean check would be a perfect example of putting it into a separate method. Okay, so no one wants to see what exactly is your check. Okay, it may be really long, a couple of ifs, a couple of if statements. Maybe it could be 100 lines of code, and if you want to put that into an if statement, well, that's going to be really bad. So yeah, really, this is a good example. Methods should consider all possible scenarios of the given task they perform. I won't give an example here. You will see it in a bit. Methods should have strong cohesion and loose coupling. Okay, so this thing I've mentioned millions of times. Just try to keep your classes, your methods separated, and they should perform a single well-defined task. Do not modify method parameters. Create new variables if needed. This will become clear as well in a bit. Limit the number of parameters to to 7 plus minus 2, so from 5 to 9. So there was some psychological study that the human brain normally can keep track of up to 7 variables, or tasks and so on. So this is like a magical number where you should try not to exceed it too much with number of parameters and so on. If you have the need to put more, think about maybe putting some of the variables in a separate class or a struct or something like that. Put the most important parameters first. Okay, say if I'm creating a student and I say new student, and the first thing I put is say I don't know, ID is fine to be first. We'll say Mark for maths course or something, right? Normally it's username, password, ID in one of these orders, and after that are the less important parameters. Okay, this is after that. So let's check whether you'll be able to spot the mistakes now. So this was control statements, high quality methods. All right, so calculate sum. So the question here on all examples is, what is wrong with this method? Okay, the first one is not easy, and the second one as well, I would say. What's wrong with the first method? Shouldn't it be static? Why? I could have a calculator which calculates sum. Oh yeah, so yeah, if it's a calculator, then it should be static. No, it doesn't. But for the sake of it, let's just put it static.
It's only for array of ints.
It's only for it. That's if we only need it for array of ints. That's not a problem.
The argument shouldn't be array.
The argument shouldn't be array. Okay, named array. Okay, let's just change that. What do you think is a good name? Numbers. Okay, numbers is fine. Element is fine. I am looking for something which is along those lines, but as a general error that can actually break your whole application. Plus equals, it's gonna work. Something that really can break your logic and program and so on. If it doesn't have elements, okay, so check. Yeah, this is good. So check for empty array or null. What else? Think about, yeah, something can go over the int type. So I have int sum and actually return an integer. And if I only have 2 int numbers in my array, which are in .max, then I am gonna have a wrong result. I'm not even gonna get an error. I am just gonna get a result which is completely wrong. So here, put long. If it's not enough, put big integer, whatever you want. So here, I have to say long. Return sum is fine. Here I have to change that to long. And normally, I'm not sure. Do I have to typecast this to int? No, because there was even a name for that, but I don't remember. It's in the first course. All right, how about the second one? So this here is a key mistake. Try to think what you need to return and whether it's going to be enough. The for here should be for each. Oh, in this case specifically not. By a collection, I mean, when I said this rule, I mean something like a list of students, some more generic collection. But yeah, for each is gonna do it here as well, but more commonly for these types of calculations for is used. How about the next one? Depends on the precision. Let's say that we are not physicians and we need a very and most specific result for the area of a triangle, and double is going to be enough. What is the return type? It's a double, so no error there. It's okay. It is not. And think about the one of the comments on the previous one, which is really close to what you should be doing here. Okay, so we need to check if triangle, right? So what happens if I put -1, -1, -1, right? I will get a result, everything will be fine, and but this is not going to be a triangle, right?
Should this check be before the?
No, it should be in the method. It's the method's job to ensure that once he is given 3 numbers, he handles all possible scenarios. So this is the rule here that we saw. Consider all possible scenarios. This is number 3. Methods should consider all possible scenarios of the given task they should perform. Right? It doesn't make sense to check before you give the values to the method whether they are correct or not. Right. So check if triangle, which includes triangle inequality, and check for positive as well. Right? I think I can keep the triangle inequality and still make them negative. That is true, right? I think so. I think so. -2, 5, and 4. Yeah, it's fine. And if I only give negative numbers, like if 3, 4, 5 is a triangle, then so would be -3, -4, and -5 as well. So yeah. All right. Anything else here? I think that was it. Just check for the triangle. Okay, what's wrong with this one? No, it's not with this. This is fine. The return type, why not object? There is something more generally wrong with this. Double else if no, that's fine. If you want to check many errors. Yes, so this is a magical method which does everything. So read all. All right, so I wanted to ask something, but I forgot. To be honest, I really don't remember. I will get back to it. So how about this? Okay, so the order here of the parameters is not good. Okay, how about this next one? This one is not easy as well, or something that we normally haven't discussed before this lecture. We are changing the value of one of the parameters, which is wrong. So what you should do here is string username to lower equals this, and then check for username to lower, all of your checks. Okay. I think that was that. I still don't remember what that was here about, but anyways, must have not been important. All right. Okay, so no more, quick questions about, for you, but just a couple of more things that we need to go through. So high quality classes. I think we've had a lot of examples that I've written that are decently written. I'm not saying that I'm perfect or that you should remember all of these rules. Just try to keep them as guidelines, and whatever you remember will be of good use to you. So these are all things that I've repeated and said many times during our previous 5 or 6 lectures. So this is why here you don't have a demo, and it will be really long and so on. So yeah, strong cohesion, loose coupling, use inheritance to reuse, repeating code, so data, logic, simplifying maintenance as well. Polymorphism is a tool to enable code reuse, implemented via virtual, abstract, or interfaces, not methods. All right. Present a consistent level of abstraction. So if you only have a bunch of classes like a bunny, zombie, and so on, and they share similar functionality, then you should make something a bit more abstract. So try always to make something which is a bit more abstract. Minimize visibility of classes and members. So this is encapsulation. So always think about, should everyone know about this property? Should everyone know about this field or this method? Can I make it private or not? So normally you make everything private, and as soon as you need it outside, then you increase the level of access. If you have no idea, what to do for your specific property or method. All right, use design patterns. This will be in the next lecture. So design patterns are a bit more advanced, and especially when you do game development, sometimes they can be harmful. So if you get really into design patterns, sometimes you overthink your architecture, which is not really good, because there is never a completely perfect way to write an app. There are always some bugs or some bottlenecks or something which does not keep all of these rules. But this is a problem. You can never write a perfect code, but you should try to make it as well as possible. Design patterns are helpful, but just don't overdo it. Don't overthink it. For example, if you know all design patterns and when to use it, if someone gives you a simple task to do, then you might overcomplicate it because so many different architectures and designs. So yeah, keep that in mind. Use namespaces to structure your application design and architecture. Never use plural noun as a class name unless they hold some kind of collection or some constants or utilities and so on. So e.g. public class teachers. This is bad. It should be just a public class teacher, and then if you need teachers, they should be stored in a list. Okay, but something which is fine, public class game field constant. Okay, something like field that you want to keep resolution or something similar. Do not throw exceptions without parameters. We've said that, just good descriptive message. Always use this. So this should be at least in green, so that it's more visible. To access members within the class. I've explained in detail why you should do that. It just helps readability as well. Don't use magical numbers. Call the base constructor, so many typos, to reuse code. Do not copy paste code. So properties, methods, fields, constructors, and so on, they can all be reused if you have it in the hierarchy or in or if you have more abstract classes or interfaces. So yeah, as soon as you copy paste, think about, well, can I make this better instead of copy pasting? And if you don't have an answer, leave it, but if you do, make your code better. Okay, the base class should never know about its children. This is something that we haven't discussed, but I believe it's kind of obvious. So in your hierarchy, you should not have that. So you should never. So if you have a class hero in one of your assignments, in no part of your code you should check, well, if type of hero is warrior, do something like this. If type of hero is sorcerer, do another thing. So this is always a bad practice. Sorry?
Is that even possible?
I think it is. I think it is possible to do that. I should check, because yeah, you can definitely do it in a method. Check and do different. So if you have a method attack, and the attack for some reason is different for each of your heroes, then you can do that. Just say, if type of hero is that, attack this way. If type of hero is another thing, do it this way, and so on. So how would you solve this problem? The more abstract class knowing about its children. So you should make an abstract method which is called attack, and then the children should override it somehow, or make it virtual if you have some related tasks or something like that. Okay, do not break encapsulation. We've talked about this a lot. Move repeating code upper in the hierarchy. So as soon as you have to copy paste abstract class, interface, whatever you want. Extract abstract classes from classes. This is also combine similar methods in a class, combine similar constants in an enumeration, wherever. So always try to keep your level of abstraction at a good pace. Okay, exceptions and defensive programming. So we've talked about this as well. Just go through it quickly. Similar to defensive driving, you are never sure what the other drivers will do on the road, right? The same applies to programming. You should always expect invalid or incorrect behavior from users. So this is the same example as with the triangle, right? Why wouldn't someone? So why should everyone know about the triangle rule, right? They can just give you random values, and then some of your logic after that could be broken. Okay, consider unusual situations, parameters, and so on. So always check if someone has actually given you a value, if it's not a null, if it's of the correct type, if it's in the correct margins, and so on. So something for the triangle, it should always be bigger than 0, for example. Protect from invalid input. This is similar to the one above. Decode how to handle bad inputs. Return neutral value. Substitute with valid data. Throw an exception. Display error message, and so on. So this is decide, not decode. Yeah, I was wondering what is that. So decide how to handle bad inputs, and there are many ways. It's just you just have to pick the one that is suitable for your situation. So in the example of the triangle, how would you handle bad inputs? So we have two checks there. One of them, we want the numbers to be positive, and after that we check if it complies with the triangle rule. So how would you do each of them? How would you solve or handle each of them? Okay, with ifs, but yeah, it's fine. But what's it gonna be?
An exception for invalid parameters, and probably return 0 if the shape is not triangle.
Okay. Yes, I accept your answer. So in this specific case, you could change the values that are given. Somehow, maybe someone made a mistake. But for the triangle rule, I would put an exception, right? A nice descriptive message why this cannot happen as well. Or as the colleague said, you can just return 0 for the area, but that's not going to be too descriptive, I think. Maybe it will. So in some cases, if we cannot find the value with the method index of, we return -1, which we think is not being very descriptive, and it isn't, but it is better than throwing an exception, right? So yeah. Use try catch to handle exceptions. Use finally block to always execute needed code. Who has been writing this? Unbelievable. What an idiot. Okay, use finally block to always execute needed code if exception occurs. Use descriptive error message. I think we've had that somewhere above. Always try to keep the software running. So I'm sure that you've had experiences with programs like CorelDRAW, Photoshop, and so on, and so suddenly they find some exception and then they just stop working, right? This is really, really bad, and you should avoid this from happening at all costs. So you will always need to use, well, not always, but in some cases you will need to use external libraries which throw different exceptions. You should handle them all when you present your product to the end user, so that it doesn't suddenly stop where you could have actually caught the error and handled it in an efficient way, or just display an error message, but not stop the execution of the software. All right, code optimization. This is something that we haven't talked, and it's a bit more interesting, and it's kind of counterintuitive when you think about it. So remember, number one rule is premature optimization is the root of all evil. Okay, has anyone heard this? Heard of this? Yeah? No? You should never ever try to optimize your code as soon as you write it, or think about what is the best method to multiply by 4. Okay, is this one faster? Is it not? You should only optimize if a need arises. Okay, don't ever just do some complicated algorithms where there is a simple one which is slightly slower. You know of another one, but it's a bit more complicated. It's harder to read, and so on. Okay, often the code quality is decreased to increase the performance. So when you do some dirty hacks or magical bit floating point operators and I don't know, expressions, they will make your code probably very, very fast, or if not very, just faster. But this is gonna decrease the quality and readability of the code. So be aware of that. Okay, code tuning myths. Reducing the lines of code improves the speed. That's not true. In some languages it is, but I doubt that you will ever have to write in one of them. So yeah, a fast program is just as important as a correct one. What do you think here? All right, make it work, and then think about how fast it is, how fast it runs, and so on. Certain mathematical operations are faster than others, e.g. multiplication and plus. So something like if I want to multiply a number by 6, that it would be faster than just adding it 6 times. So this is a method as well. I remember if you saw, but in the workshop in the first course, we were testing whether the bitwise multiplication by 2 is faster than the normal one with the multiplication sign, and it turned out that they're pretty much the same. So there is no when you have to multiply by 2, by 4, whatever number, it's a lot less readable to do it with the bitwise operation. Instead of just with the regular multiplication sign, and it turns out that it's not actually faster in the case of C#. I'm sure that in other languages it is, but in C# there are some optimizations there that do it for you. Okay, so this is the big thing. You should optimize as you go. Wrong, first write your code, make it work, and after that, if you have a problem, then go and fix it. Junior developers think that selection sort is slow. Is this correct? The answer is clearly no, but yeah, so it depends on the situation. Is it slow for 50 numbers? Is it slow for a million numbers? Okay, and to be honest, selection sort is probably the easiest one to write and to read as well. So yeah, if you don't have a lot of elements, then probably this is the good way to go if someone has to go through your code and understand it. Normally you have built-in methods which are optimized, so use that if you have them at hand. Systematic tuning steps. So if you actually have something which makes your code slow, then these are the steps to follow. Assess the problem and establish numeric values that categorize acceptable behavior. Okay, so someone says, well, this game is really slow, make it faster. And you have to ask, okay, how much faster do you want it? So here it has to be 50 frames a second, or here it has to be 120. Just tell me so that I can test and try to optimize it so that it works. Okay, measure the performance before modification. So this is something that we did thoroughly in the graph theory lecture from last time. I was a couple of times I was checking how long did it take for my algorithm to work, and I fixed one thing, it was faster. I fixed another thing, it was faster. So you should always keep track of that. Okay, identify the parts of the system that is critical for improving the performance. Okay, so this is called a bottleneck, so something that slows down the performance of your program. Modify the part of the system to remove the bottleneck. So find a bottleneck, change it or rework it or make a hack or whatever. Okay, if the modification works, use it. If not, remove it. Clearly, it's not good. Rinse and repeat. So if it's not helping, try to find another one, then another one, and follow the same steps. Optimization tips. Okay, so from what you should have remembered so far, optimization is not always needed, and you should not try to optimize as you go. But if you have the need to do this, here are some tips that can make your code slightly faster and sometimes a lot faster. Okay, static fields and methods are faster than instance fields. I have no idea why that is. I just trust the source. Okay, it is faster to minimize method arguments. This makes sense. If you have a method which has less arguments and you don't need all of them, or you don't always use all of them, then try to do something about it. Constants are fast. They're replaced at compile time, and they don't take any of your speed. Okay, some switches are faster than if statements. So I did say that I don't like switch case, but if you really need to check the value of user input and you have like 10 possible options, switch case is a lot easier to read, and it turns out that it's faster. But here, if you have an if statement which has more than one operation to be done if true, then the switch cases can become really ugly. Okay, so something like if the user has to give you an animal from a drop-down menu or something, and there are like 20 of them, you actually want to create your animal with the specific type. So there is just one line of code: case cat animal equals new cat, and that's it. Okay, so it will be a lot easier to read. You will save a lot of lines writing that. Okay, using two-dimensional arrays is relatively slow. Okay, so sometimes you can substitute the use of two-dimensional arrays by using a single one and some mathematical operations. So an example here from the first course, you had to print the following array. I'll just do it for 3 numbers. Then it was 2, 3, 1, and then it was 3, 2, 1. I think. Didn't you have to do something like this? Okay, so maybe it was something else. Let me see if I can guess it. So 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, and 3, 4, 5. You had to print a matrix like this at some point, and you can do this without the use of two-dimensional array, and it's not that complicated. Just use, I think, 2 for loops. I'm not sure right now, or a single for loop. It's easy anyways, and you can avoid the use of two-dimensional array in this case. Okay, string builder, you've seen the difference. I specifically wrote in detail an example. How does it work with string when you add words and so on, and how is it gonna work with string builder? And it turned out that it's exponentially faster. So yeah, use a string builder always to build your strings. The fastest way though is with an array of characters, but it's very limited, right? There are so many methods that you can't use there. Okay, simple array with elements, say int array, is always faster than a list. Can you think why that is? Well,
it has a maximum number of elements when the list can go.
well, yeah, I would say that the list uses an array and adds more functionality to it. So you have to make a class, references, and so on. The array is always going to be faster. Use efficient data structures. We haven't learned these. I think there is a lecture about this in the last course about Unity. If there is some collection which is faster, you can Google it and try to use it. So the hashstat and the dictionary are made so that they're really good performance-wise. For loops are faster than for each loops. You may have noticed last time when I wanted to implement the IEnumerable interface, I still had to use a for loop and I add something to it. I have to go to a method, yield, return values, and so on. So for each loops are normally slower. Structs are slower than structs are faster than classes, because structs are classes are reference types and structs are value types. So they're always faster. The same is true with the char array and with the string builder as well. So they're stored directly in the memory, and it's a lot easier for the computer to access them. If it is better to work with a char, it is better to work with a char instead of a single char string. Okay, so if you have to just keep one letter in your string or just one symbol, it's clearly better to always to only use a char for the reason. Are there any questions here? No? I know that these are a lot of rules, and I certainly don't remember them all, but once you start coding and if you encounter some problems, you may remember, okay, so this was solved by following this rule. So yeah, I think that it will be useful, and always try to keep your code good, well managed, so that other people can read it, so that you can read it after a while, so that you can change some functionality if you need it. Say that you have a huge game and you have to make a new hero, a new type of hero, something like Dota or League of Legends. When you have to make a new hero, because there is some abstract, class or interface or something up the hierarchy along with some interfaces, just inherit those, and it will be very, very easy even for a junior developer to implement some of the code for the hero. So yeah, that was it. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you at the next lecture.